Hey yo, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody doing today? All right, sounds good. Sorry, haven't been on in a while. I know it's been a few days. I don't even know, maybe it's been 4 or 5 days, but it has been a couple days since I've been online. So, anyways, we are here now. Let's see. Spinner. Cool. Good morning, guys. Yeah. So, anyways. Been away, been off for a couple days, so haven't been on. But anyway, still been trading, still been working. Just haven't been on. Some days we had like an audio issue, then it was the camera, then it was the light. So it's been a whole slew of things. Anyways, so here we are. I haven't looked at ABIL for a while, so we will look at ABIL. I'll look at ASTC. I will look at what else am I gonna look at? All the ones on the screen. Those are going to be all the ones we're looking at. So there's a few plays a day. As many of you guys know, markets are still kind of a little iffy, so not entirely sold on anything. But let's get into sharing the screen here. 1 second. All right, here we are. So we'll start with ABIL this morning. Why not? All right, so ABIL is having this small move up pre-market, right? It's got a small gap up. All right. So far, there's not a ton of volume, but there's some volume, right? We know that. You can see there is some volume on it. That's 14, 20, 10, 10, 10, 10. So it's probably close to, I don't know, maybe like 100,000 shares this morning or something. So right now it's up. It's a back and forth chop. Not a ton of volume yet, but that could definitely pick up. I would probably use a 5-minute chart on this. If anything, I wouldn't really look at the 1 minute. And the 5-minute is showing just that. That's really all we have. Maybe a possible wedge occurring on ABIL. ABIL is known to spike. You can see it spiked before, so it's possible, but I won't trade ABIL today. I don't think it's really going to do a whole lot. You know, it might have a move, but with the amount of size I trade, this is probably not going to be a good stock for me to trade. But that's what I would watch. I'd watch on the 5-minute chart, map out the pre-market high at 270. And then you also have some resistance. Let's see, 270. Yeah, you got resistance right here at 3. So I could see, you know, if it has a good day, maybe up to $3, but I'm not entirely sold on ABIL. Let's see. I will talk about Nvidia. We'll touch on that. ASTC. ASTC is one that started moving here this morning pre-market. And as you can see, it's starting to kind of roll over. If you look at the yearly chart on ASTC, ASTC usually breaks down. Whenever it goes up, it usually comes down and crashes either the same day or the next day. So ASTC is known to spike and then fail. Look at the 180-day chart here. You'll see, like this day, ASTC spiked. The next day, it crashed. Back here, it spiked and crashed. So chances are ASTC is going to do something similar. I have resistance on ASTC around this 420. We broke 420 briefly, so I could see ASTC moving higher on the day. But again, this is a pretty awkward stock, and it usually crashes every time it pops up. So I don't even know if I'll even be trading ASTC today, but it is a penny stock. It's gapping up. It's known to spike, but again, it is also known to crash after it has its run. So if you're going to focus on this, do be a little careful. It isn't showing too much strength so far pre-market. I mean, it has, and it's still showing strength, and it's still uptrending. So, you know, it could have another move coming. I guess, you know, the best thing to do is follow the trend, you know, and watch your resistance points. I think you could see it up towards 450 possibly, but again, just know that this thing normally crashes. All right. Next one on the list, I'm going to run through all of mine, then I'll take a look at the few that we have here that you guys are asking about. CORT, this is CORT. Now, you don't typically see me looking at stocks that look like this pre-market all the time, or you don't even typically hear me or see me mention stocks that look like this. So CORT is not typically a heavily traded stock, but yesterday it received some very positive news about a patent, and you can see it's just instantly pushed straight up and started running. So I'm being optimistic on CORT. I believe with the move it had yesterday and the strong news that it could be setting up for another move higher today. And if it doesn't and it starts dropping, then I'll short it. So I think that with the volatility it's seeing going from 12 all the way to 18, this is going to create areas of opportunity either today, tomorrow, or even maybe the next couple days, because it's had such a big move. It created a lot of range that we could trade within. So even if it doesn't skyrocket up or completely crash down, it's got a lot of range that it could trade back and forth, creating highs and lows where you can pick tops and pick bottoms, so long bottoms and short tops. So I think with the range it's created, CORT does have some opportunity as long as the volume stays up and stays heavy and doesn't result back to its average trading volume, which would bring it to this. So I think today, maybe tomorrow, I think the hype will still be here for CORT and we can trade it. And then after a couple days, I think the volume will start dying out and then it'll be not even worth really watching. Okay. If we look at the yearly chart on CORT, that's a weekly, but look at the yearly. You can see on the yearly chart, it just broke out over the $15 area, which was a major resistance. It's pushed all the way up basically to more like 1830 or something. So CORT has entered a lot of resistance. So I'm not sold entirely on the long, knowing that we're right up towards a lot of resistance. Okay, so do note, watch this. When I mark these resistances off, 18, got some more here at about 1830, and you got some more there at about 1880, and then up here about 20. All right, and you go back into like the 1 minute or 5 minute chart, you can see right there, look at that. At 1839, you got a perfect tag, and then it's dropping. So we know right now 1840, 1839 is a resistance point on CORT. All right, next one on the list is PLAY. PLAY is Dave & Buster's stock. They had earnings today. They're dropping pretty significantly. So this is going to be on a very close watch today, seeing if some of this volatility continues and it gives us some good plays. Looking at the yearly chart here with PLAY, what is it? I need to look at the 180-day. 180-day brings it down to 41. 180-day down to 41, 41, 41. Dave & Buster's is at a big support level down towards the $40 price. So today I'll probably watch Dave & Buster's for a long out of the gates. I think with it dropping down to 42 area, that's strong support. We might see it bounce. A lot of different, and you guys know as well as I do, a lot of crazy stuff can happen on earnings days. But if you look at the yearly chart, or even go back to the 180-day. The 180-day chart brings us right to 42, which is all this support over there. So that's a pretty good support system. And now look at the range from 40 to 50. That's a big range. We could see this squeeze a lot today. So I'm going to be watching Dave & Buster's long initially until it shows signs of weakness. Then maybe I'll short PLAY. There's really no good resistance level to possibly enter a short. So let's say PLAY opens up on the day and moves higher. There's really no good resistance level other than arguably around $47 to watch for a short on this pre-market or an after hours chart. Let's see. That's the 46. That's 46. 46 would be a good level. 46. What's that? That's 44. 44 might also be a good level. Yeah. So I would map off 46 and 47 as kind of resistance points for intraday movement. All right. That is all I have for you guys on the stocks that I am watching. All right. Now, to touch on this one is NBIX. I'll touch on this briefly because we got a few other things that we'll run through, so I'm not going to talk too much on this one. But NBIX, this is a gap down stock on news that they did not meet their primary endpoint for one of their studies. Or let me reread this. It's been a while since I read it. So here's the news. Announces top-line data for phase 2 T-Force Gold study demonstrating blah, blah, blah. Did not meet primary endpoint in pediatric patients with something I can't pronounce. But yeah, so the news wasn't that good. They got halted. So All in all, I would probably watch NBIX for a short. With the news, considering the gap down, this is probably something, all in all, I would probably keep on a short watch today. Nvidia, NVDA strong drop. Now, this is something that our moderator in our private group was talking about, Brandon. I didn't know this, but Brandon said there was some news this morning of, what is it? That SoftBank reportedly plans to sell Nvidia stake next year. And apparently, from what I've been told, Japan SoftBank has a massive stake in Nvidia. They plan to sell their stake next year. So if SoftBank plans to sell their stake next year, that's a lot of selling pressure. So that's just kind of some extra catalyst news to Nvidia that's not good. And then you add on some things about tariffs. So I think it's kind of a mix of the SoftBank, which came from our moderator, Brandon. So shout out to Brandon for finding that news out. But anyway, so SoftBank, bad news Nvidia, bad news that SoftBank wants to sell their stake next year. You mix that with some tariff news, you're probably going to get results like you're seeing where it's not so good. So right now, our team, we got Nvidia probably on short watch today. All right. NFEC. Yeah, I'll talk about NFEC real fast. I was looking at this. I think I was looking at it last night and like a couple days ago. To me, NFEC, I don't know anything about the company. I haven't read anything. I don't really know anything other than the chart. And the chart it's funny because there's not a lot of volume, but it keeps going up. So all in all, NFEC is starting, in my opinion, it's entered into a bubble. So at this point, NFEC has become, really extremely high risk to trade. And again, I don't know enough about the stock, so maybe there's something I don't know. But out of all the time I've ever been trading, what we're looking at on NFEC is soon to be a picture-perfect stock bubble. And with all bubbles, they always crash. So there's probably money to be made here, long bias. And then there'll probably be money to be made short bias. I don't have shares of short, but it's doing so far exactly what bubbles do, and that's skyrocket. But the interesting thing, though, is normally when things are in a bubble, they have a lot of, not necessarily a ton of volume, but they typically would have volume that drives it up so much, and this doesn't. So it's a little bit different than what I'm used to seeing in terms of bubbles, because they usually are accompanied with somewhat good volume, and this doesn't really have anything for volume, so it's a little odd to me. But again, I don't know anything about the company, so it's probably something I should do a little bit more research in before I completely throw shade at this company and say it's an absolute garbage stock. So before I just completely throw shade on the company, I'll do some more research on NFEC, and maybe tomorrow or something, or next week I'll have more on it. But so far, my professional opinion, I believe NFEC is in a bubble, and how high it goes, I have no idea. Will it crash? Most likely. When? I don't know. Just follow it. But again, it doesn't have volume, not a lot at least, so it becomes even more challenging to really predict what it's going to do. When you don't have volume in things to read, it becomes more of a challenge. Oh, Daniel, you bought NFEC there? Yeah, good job. Yeah, Keystone. I mean, like NFEC doesn't have a ton of volume. GE, you should just, Pedro with GE, General Electric, just trade the trend. Trend is down. I look back at it now and I'm like, why in the hell didn't I trade GE, right? You see it, and it's just funny. It'll happen to even when you you understand stocks phenomenally well. I mean, like, things just go by you, and then you look back, the hindsight, and you're like, wow, what was I thinking? Like, for one, let me actually pull up something. What's Dick's Sporting Goods ticker? Is it DKS? Yeah, it's DKS. See, I've been looking at Dick's for a long time, and I think, and this is kind of like a GE to me. I was thinking about, why not, short DIX possibly long term. But what I'm getting at is the hindsight thing is, like GE, we've been seeing a downtrend since like 20, a long time ago. And it's like, there was never any real sign of it ever getting bought up or, doing anything like relatively good to make people really want to buy it up again. And it's like, why weren't you just shorting it the whole time? Just easy money. So for GE, I would just continue to follow and trade the trend until the trend states otherwise, personally. Like this is what I meant by DIX. I think it was like, I want to say like maybe like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was or no, it was definitely longer than that. But anyway, I was at Dick's Sporting Goods with a buddy of mine, and I think he had a gift card, so he was going shopping. And I actually bought this hat right here, this North Face hat. I bought that day at Dick's, so it's kind of funny I'm telling this story. But anyways, we were at Dick's, and I was inside Dick's, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I remember coming here when I was a kid, and I played sports all the time. I was like constantly getting football cleats and Under Armour and all the other athletic stuff, and I'm like, and buying basketball shoes for basketball. And I'm like, wow, this place used to be popping, right? There's nobody in here now. Like, there is no one shops there. And I'm like, wow, that can't be good for business. That's what I said to myself without even thinking how good the stock is doing. And I just looked, and it's doing okay, but I just read that Dick's Sporting Goods is going to be shutting down 18 stores. So it's funny that a couple months ago, I'm like, wow, they're not doing good. They can't be. And then I find this news article a couple days ago that Dick's Sporting Goods is going to shut down like 18 stores across the country. I'm like, well, that's not good. It's not massive shutdown, but it's not good. So that made me start thinking, is Dick's going to turn into another one of these retail stores that really just can't hold up, and they end up turning into a GE, turning into a Sears. So, and I think that's where some of our minds need to be. I've overlooked GE. But I think that's kind of where our minds should shift a little bit in terms of the retail space. I don't think all retail will die, but we know retail will die in one way or the other. We've already seen it with Sears and GE, and there's probably some other ones that I don't even know about really. But we're seeing that move, and so I think now is kind of a good time. I think we're in an era, if that's the right words to use. I think we're in an era where we're seeing that shift. We all know it from like online and retail. And so I think that's where a lot of attention needs to be for a long-term, looking at stocks that we think the growth is going to diminish. And I think that's retail space. Not all retail will die, of course. There will be some, but for one of them, I think could be Dick's. Looking at Dick's, it just, when I go shopping there, it's like no one shops here, Yeah, and I know the whole gun thing, right? I know like Dick's tried to do a thing with gun control, and they got into politics one way or the other. So yeah, I know that's so yeah. There's a lot of things, right? But anyways, I will leave you with one last thing before I gotta head off. Follow the stock NBEV. I know there's some recent news floating around there, something about the farm bill with marijuana. So follow NBEV. I think it could potentially arise to a breakout over $6, whether that's today or in a couple weeks. I'm not I don't know the future, but I would suggest watching NBEV too. Hint, hint. Yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. So it should be a pretty good day. I'll have some more YouTube videos and things like that up for you guys later. Other than that, don't got anything else for you guys today, so sorry I haven't been on for a couple days, but I'll be on tomorrow and so forth. There will be a day, there will probably be a couple days throughout this month, later the month, where I won't be on because I'll be moving into a new house, so I might not be on. We'll see with getting internet and things like that set up. All right, guys. So anyways, take care, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow morning. All right, cheers.